Welcome back, Trash Talkers, to the second episode of Trash Talk with Devin. I'm Devin. I'm here with Seth King Khan. We've got so many topics to share with you today, so I honestly don't think I've been more excited for this episode. I don't think I've been more excited to talk with the fight game in general. I've got some new posters up. I've got Rampage versus Evans, UFC 114. I've got UFC 3, Gracie versus Shamrock.
Love Ken Shamrock. One of my faves.
I've got Aldo versus McGregor, UFC 194, and my all-time favorite, UFC 193, Rousey versus Holm. I'm going to double check that this is actually running, and we are good. We're at 54 seconds. Okay, awesome. So the first thing, I want to get straight to it. We have a lot of topics to share with you today. I don't think I've ever been this excited at all, but we've got Fight Island cards. We got to recap all 4 of those. First of all, I want to say every single fighter that fought in Fight Island, every single fighter that traveled to Fight Island, every single fighter that got there but tested positive, every single fighter that got there didn't make weight. It's all tough. It's all tough for everyone. So every single fighter that went to Fight Island deserves more respect than anybody even realizes.
I agree.
They traveled there, and the ones who fought themselves, they were fighting 8 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So when they were fighting 8 hours ahead, what people don't realize who are sitting at home and judging and this and that, they fought in the prelims between 5 and 6. And at that time, they're starting their card at about 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Right? They're starting their card at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.
Also train in a different environment, which different, wind levels, say you train in the Rockies, there's less air out there, so it's
the altitude difference.
That's the word I'm looking for. Altitude difference.
So the biggest thing with them is they're traveling there. They're fighting 8 hours ahead of the time, so they'll start fighting at 1 a.m. and by the end of the card, I don't even know how long does that usually last. We got about 6 hours, 7 hours.
All right, so
8 hours there. So
we're probably looking at 4 latest. Depends on how long each fight goes, right? And
count with one hand, Seth's math. That's not accurate. But no, they'll go from about 1 a.m. until about 8 a.m. And when you're traveling down from another country, despite where it is, but let's just say Canadians, Americans in general, fighting under Eastern Standard Time, when you're flipping your schedule and you're coming back for a fight, and you're completely flipping the fact that you're fighting at 1 a.m. if you're on the early prelims, and you're getting all the way to the main event and main card that's going all the way till 8 a.m. You deserve the utmost respect for everything about that. That
absolutely.
No matter win, lose, draw, whatever, you deserve respect completely.
Well, they're going above and beyond.
And as you were saying, yes, they get down there. They need their they have their constant COVID testing. I don't even know how many times they get tested, but they get tested a lot when they're down there. And then the biggest thing for me, they get down there as a family man. They leave, they travel, and what you don't have to do when you're just regularly fighting is quarantine for 2 weeks afterwards. So once they fight, they still have to go in quarantine. They still have to do this. They still have to do that. They have to change their whole lives around, for those couple weeks over a fight. And it's incredible. It's seriously incredible. So thank you to everybody who made Fight Island that much greater for us. Every single fight that went to Fight Island lived up to more than we could have even imagined. All 4 cards in Fight Island were phenomenal.
Hey, they're giving our hardworking frontline workers entertainment. There's a lot of frontline workers that are fight fans, and
And
they
finally,
deserve.
NHL's back.
And finally, the NHL is back, and the Leafs are played tonight at 8 p.m.
So there's
versus Columbus Blue Jackets.
There's a group that I was in that was telling me that they, like, when fights were the only thing, boom boom, all we got is fights, and
Even
now that
WWE,
they got
wrestling.
NHL, whatever else is back,
Baseball, basketball,
it's all back.
Basketball, I think the Raptors. They played tonight or last night? I'm not a basketball fan, so
okay. If they have it all back, basically they had posted some picture to a group saying, "Boom, boom, boom," all the screens. They go, "I had nothing to watch, and now I don't know what to watch, so I got 3 screens up." But let's get back. Okay, so
right.
Recap of the Fight Island cards themselves. We want to. I'm just gonna go straight through it because there was a lot that happened. Like I said, we had a lot of great fights. July 11th was the first one, UFC 251. Everyone knows this is probably the biggest thing that happened for casual fans, casual fight guys. Last minute, we had the change up with Usman, who was supposed to fight Gilbert Burns, tested positive for COVID-19. He moved on to fight, in people's eyes, not mine, an even bigger fight, Jorge Masvidal. I still want to see that fight with Gilbert Burns between Usman. I think he's next in line. Everybody can have their opinions. I know that I think him beating Tyron Woodley was enough to jump the division. I agree with Ariel Helwani, who I brought up the last week. I agree. I think he should jump the division. I think he's next in line. My opinion. But Usman, anyways, in that fight, he had the change up. He ended up defeating Jorge very, very easily. Jorge had his moments where he was throwing from the fences, caught him with a couple shots, and that's the thing about Jorge Masvidal is he always brings the excitement where you don't know when he could stop a fight. But against a guy like Kamaru Usman, he proved his chin when he fought against Kobe Covington, my best friend, and and he proved
Unit security.
Yeah, he proved it in that fight that Kamaru Usman has a chin, and that just cemented the fact that when you seen Jorge hit him with those shots, that you understood that likely Kamaru was going to push that for the 5 rounds, and that's exactly what he did. A lot of people give him a lot of criticism with those foot stomps, and just kind of doing what Kamaru Usman does, but you just got to realize that's what he does, and that's how he won, and he's one of the greatest fighters in that weight class to do it. So next up on the card we had Max Holloway. Me and Paul were talking about this. Max Holloway, people can have their own opinions on this, but Max Holloway was robbed against Alexander Volkanovski in the second fight. Max completely changed up his style and his approach to the fight. And Volkanovski kind of went in it looking at the same way he was going to fight Max in the first fight, and it just did not work out. The first couple rounds, you thought maybe it would be the same outcome, but Max just put it together. Max just put it together like for the overall outcome of that fight, and I had Max 3-2 rounds. Volkanovski, I believe it should be a rematch, immediate rematch, but Volkanovski wants to fight against other contenders and, in his words, not hold up the division. I don't agree with it. I think you have a fight like that. I understand that Volkanovski he pieced him apart a little bit in that first fight. Clear decision. Max's second fight, it was not as clear, maybe as Volkanovski beat him the first time, but people love Max so much. But no, I think the second fight it was enough to secure that trilogy right away. But Volkanovski's looking to other options. So, yeah. The last thing I want to talk about, another thing me and Paul actually, and I don't mean to call Paul out like on here, but like we argued pretty hard about this. Like,
Oh boy.
it was probably one of our worst fights that we ever had. Like,
really?
And it was not like, and I want to throw this out right away. It was not because Paul's my best friend, ex-roommate, love him to death. This was not about like me being mad at Paul, but Paul, I felt at the time, had maybe not watched the fight as closely as, like, you know, when you go drinking a little bit and you watch a fight, and I'm guilty for it.
And then you wake up in the morning, you actually...
Well, no, you not wake up in the morning, but yeah, you wake up after the fight because you watch it, and you are drinking at that time, and it feels almost sped up to where you're only catching glimpses of it.
There's conversations
or
happening.
even conversations happening, or even your own mind just kind of bounces back and forth where you're like, there's a punch, there's a punch, there's a punch. But we had an argument about Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo.
Whew.
And we initially, like, he did come out to me. He said afterwards, he said, look, like, I'm reading a lot of the comments online. I looked back at it. I understand how bad that was, but Peter, that was the reason why I was so upset. Not necessarily at him. I was upset at the fucking referees.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset at the cornermen.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset at everyone.
Yep.
I have never been that upset in my life at a fight. I was sitting there in front of Nolan's TV or flat screen, whatever. I was sitting in front of it, and I was shaking from how angry and upset I was at watching Peter Yan pummel Jose Aldo in his own pool of blood underneath his face for over a minute and a half after it should have been stopped. It was, Paul's case was that referee's actually, he's a great referee. Referee decides to make that decision. In Paul's case, it was the referee was giving a legend like Jose Aldo a chance.
My opinion on that is, out of respect for Jose Aldo, the ref should have stopped that. Well, for any fighter in that position, that is not...
I think...
That is... You need to stop that. That's how serious injuries happen. And deaths in boxing, we see it every year. Boxing, refs, or somebody doesn't know when to step in.
And that's
and
actually,
guys get pummeled, or they don't die that night, or they die even 3 days later from the
that
fight.
Happened
People
last
need
year.
to
Last year.
step in.
And that's actually what I said.
Attention
That was my biggest argument, where I was like, and again, this had nothing to do with my little argument with Paul.
Right.
It had to do with me so frustrated with watching it, so frustrated with the referee, so frustrated with the cornerman, that when I was typing it out to him, I was literally shaking at my hand, saying the exact same thing that you just said, that boxers last year alone, there was at least 3 of them that, whether it was the same day, the day after, or a few days after,
within the same week,
they ended up dying on less severe conditions than what Jose Aldo was getting
collapsed in the ring. Boxers.
Yes.
I think 2 of those out of 3 guys actually collapsed in the fucking
on
ring.
less severe conditions than what was happening to Jose Aldo. I do not agree with that. I'm glad Jose Aldo's okay to this date. He has posted things, but that was the most disgusting stoppage I think I had ever seen.
How many unanswered punches do you think was thrown at Jose Aldo?
It had to be over 100.
Enough.
Over 100. Over 100
That's too
easily.
long. That is way too long, man.
Besides that, though, the rest of the fight, though, Jose Aldo looked incredible. The first 2 rounds, he was back. He looked just as great as he did, but Peter Yan is just he proved to be like we talked about in our last podcast. He proved to be something that we expected, but we didn't know. So he proved to be exactly what he was. But Jose Aldo, his leg kicks were back finally. He was throwing nasty leg kicks. He actually spun. He kicked Peter Yan, front leg kick, spun him around in a circle. That's how fucking bad Jose Aldo's leg kicks were. Yeah, moving on from there though, Rose's redemption to Jessica Andrade we were talking about before. Put her in a place for a title shot against Willie Zong, who I'm looking forward to that fight like a lot. Like Willie Zong, like I said, like she won me a lot of money on that first fight against Jessica Andrade, but Jessica Andrade looked phenomenal against against Rose in that second fight. A lot better than the first fight where she was getting picked apart. She made some adjustments, but Rose is the winner. I want to see Rose versus Zong, and I think it's gonna be great because, like I said, Rose beat Joanna. Joanna just had not a fight of the year candidate, a fight of the year winner against Zong. The one where, like I was talking about the last time, the hematoma. Yeah, it was so. I think Rose versus her, as long as Rose comes in sharp.
You know what? It's great to see women putting on fights like this. Like before, like how long was it ago? There wasn't even a women's division in the Ultimate Fighter, like UFC. But now they're putting on like main events, like slobber knockers, like the guys do.
Slobber knockers, yeah. No,
it's like the WWE. WWE women were never taken serious for a while. They were looked at as eye candy, but now they're main event and stuff as actual wrestling athletes. It's good to see, you know what I mean? Like it's
especially nice because I still talk to my grandma about this whenever we watch a fight together.
They're
it's
good
like,
fights.
It's unfortunately the competition level will possibly never be on the same level as the males fighting competition level. Possibly.
Right, yeah.
I would like there are fighters like Joanna Joanna. What's her name?
Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, Joanna, Amanda Nunes. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna remind myself. I'm gonna remind myself because I got ahead of myself. It's Joanna Jacek, not Joanna Shevchenko. I was reminding myself. It's Joanna Jacek, Valentina Shevchenko, Amanda Nunes, Ronda Rousey at the time she was here. Yep. There's a lot of Holly Holm for sure. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of great fighters in the women's division.
Cyborg.
But Chris Cyborg, yeah. But the problem is with all of that is we have these names that are so widely respected and dominant that when you see other names in the women's division, it's hard to really make a competitive women's division because there's not as many women fighters. So you see these divisions where Valentina, not necessarily Rose at this point, but Valentina, Nunes, Cyborg before she lost to Nunes, Ronda before everything got bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You see all these, and possibly Willie Zong. You see them really just like all the other competitions are kind of sitting there and they're fighting each other, but nobody's beating the champ.
Yeah, kind of gets stale after a while. In a way.
But I think if we can if we get, like we said, UFC is still young.
Oh, absolutely.
If we can still build and more females can get active in gyms, more females can get promoted, and this and that. I think like for example, UFC 194 or 193, sorry, it was completely surrounded around
women fighters, talented women fighters.
Rousey, Holm, Jay Chuck versus Letourneau.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love that idea, but
I think the time is now to expand on that. I think a lot more women are going to gear towards mixed martial arts.
I hope so. Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Okay. So next up, we got real quick, we got the next second UFC Island fight card. Calvin Kattar, main event. Clear decision against Ige, but a very, very good fight. And then one of the guys that I don't know if you heard about, but he is on the up and coming, and I would love to see the next few performances, but Kazmat Shimev, does the name mean anything to you yet or no? Because he had his first UFC win, I believe, and it was back-to-back wins. Sorry. It was his first UFC win. It was back-to-back wins. But on this July 15th card, he outstruck Phillips 124-2. And this was his first win of the two in 10 days. So he fought twice on Fight Island. And this turnaround broke a record, surpassing Chas Kelly, whose biggest turnaround win was 13 days. So he won these two fights back to back. Very impressive. Around the same area as Khabib Nurmagomedov, and people are joking around online. He sounds a lot like him too, like same kind of slow talking, dominant English, like I will maul him kind of stuff. But no, he's super impressive. So that was the big takeoffs from those cards. The next one was one that I really want to talk to you about was Devin Figueiredo outclassing Joe Benavidez.
Mm-hmm.
That was their second time fighting. It led to a submission.
2 times.
Yeah, 2 times fighting.
2 times.
It led to a submission in round 1, and Benavidez. So the big thing we were talking about, in kind of the random topics, was fighters who have amazing fighters, I should say, who have never won a title, and Benavidez was one of them. So he has lost all 4 UFC title shots, and 5 if you want to include the WEC. So that's his last title shot. Dana White has come out and said that's his last title shot. But he got very, very, very outclassed to the point he was sleeping or almost asleep.
Well.
But yeah, so we had that card, yeah. And on the same card, we had Hermansson. He had his first round submission win over Kelvin Gastelum, which was very impressive, very unexpected for myself. But all around incredible. And then on the same card, London, it said Calgary, but I know him from London. Malcolm Gordon suffered his first UFC loss to Albazi in the first round. He got submitted. I want to touch up on this a little bit. I think that with a full camp, like I said, I've sparred Malcolm. He's an animal. I know his ground game's absolutely out of this world. It was a triangle choke that he got submitted by. I think it was the first triangle choke of 2020 in the UFC. I think with a full camp, Malcolm is bound to show us so much more. than we were able to see with less than 5 minutes. I really do. That he is a high prospect, and he is going to put in some work. I think by the end of 2020, as long as he gets the next shot. And then we moved. That was the third UFC Fight Island card. The last show on Fight Island was featured by Whitaker versus Till. Darren Till.
Yeah.
Robert Whitaker.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was a close decision. Whitaker ended up winning the decision. I think it was a proper decision. I think he deserved that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But Darren Till had knocked him down with a nice elbow in the first round. They continued to fight on back and forth, and it was just an instant classic. That's what it was. It was really an instant classic.
Just a good fight. That's what we want to see.
I loved watching that fight. Whitaker clearly beat him 3-2. So Whitaker's moving on to fight Jared in his next fight. And I think that's going to be another great fight. But I think Till's move up in weight has been the best decision he has made for his own career. Till moving up has been something else.
Now, is that over struggling to cut weight, or is just better for his style of fighting?
Think, well, he ended up losing his title shot to Tyron Woodley badly. And I think it was a mixture of both.
Okay.
I think Till, once he moved up, he has not looked bad, and his chin has been there completely.
And hasn't looked back since.
I know, and I don't think he ever will.
Nope.
So the biggest thing for me on that card, which I could not believe, was Werdum submitting Gustafsson in his heavyweight debut. I thought Gustafsson was going to come up and clear out that division.
Werdum.
Yeah.
Fabricio Werdum. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah. So
that's a legend in himself right there.
Well, the thing is, you don't go down to the mat that early with a guy like that. He will submit you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Alexander Gustafsson, he's arguably beat John Jones. And I'm doing quotations because I truly do believe that it was a close fight, but a lot of people... It was a very close fight, and I do believe he beat him, but then he obviously got knocked out in his next fight against Jones, but it is what it is. But no,
that must have been one of the couple of
it was a
fights Jones actually passed the drug test.
Well, yeah, we're not going to get into that, but
quotation.
We all know about Jones's drug history, so
anyways, just 1
picogram.
Hey.
Sorry, as Jones will say, 1 pictogram. Yeah.
It's not Instagram. Pictogram.
So yeah, so we had him in his heavyweight debut. That was a little upsetting for me. I actually was hoping to see Gustafsson have a longer run at heavyweight. I think he's gonna stay up there, but it's just tough to watch. And realize the hype train kind of gets stopped a little early when you move up in weight, because you love to see, we were just talking about, you love to see people move up in weight where they're more comfortable and progress. So it's tough.
Journeyman aspect.
The other thing, Kazmat Shimev, which I mentioned in the earlier fights, he got his second win in 10 days. The guy who fought twice in 10 days, breaking the record.
Mm-hmm.
He got a second win in 10 days, knocking out McCree. And he, I had mentioned he outstruck Phillips 124-2. He outstruck that second fight against McKee 68-0 before knocking him out.
Well, the guy didn't land
not one punch.
Kick? Nothing?
Nothing.
Takedowns?
Nothing.
How long did that fight last?
Less than a round. Yeah. And the last one on that...
That's like if I got in there against that guy. Same thing.
Now you'd be outstruck
once and I'd be out.
1-0.
It wouldn't take 68 punches, I'm saying. I wouldn't land one. You know what I mean? It wouldn't take 68.
Last one on that, I just
Damn.
want to give a
I get paid for that.
huge congratulations to Jesse Ronson, Canadian Jesse Ronson. Huge congratulations to Tanner Boser, Canadian as well. So Tanner Boser ended up collecting another knockout win. Jesse Ronson, against, like a guy was saying, actually had a draw with Darren Till.
Oh.
He fought against him, and he ended up submitting him in the first round. And he collected a performance bonus, on that. And
Was that the fight of the night? Is that what you get for that performance?
I didn't look up too much about that, but there's fight of the night bonuses. There's knockout of the night bonuses.
Okay.
There's all that, but
just break it. Yeah.
I believe he got a performance of the night bonus. When I looked it up for that specifically, and he was, I think, making $10,000 or $20,000 for the fight. He was making 10 or 20,000. No, he was making 10. Yeah, no, that's for sure. He was making $10,000 for the fight, $10,000 for the win bonus, $4,000 for the fight night incentive.
Mm-hmm.
So 24,000 there. But then his fight of the night or performance of the night bonus, $50,000.
So a performance of the night, would that make you the fighter of the night then? In other terms?
No. There's a couple performance of the fight or performance of the night.
So was it performance of best submission or performance of like?
No,
best,
they just
they
just do it as far as performance of the night, fight of the nights.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically the guys who will, like, when you watch Conor McGregor go 60 G's, baby, like that.
Yeah.
And that's because he knocked somebody the fuck out.
Okay.
But,
all right.
But
yeah.
when performance, so that's performance of the night. When you have fight of the night, it's the guys who are just banging it out for 3 rounds, despite whether somebody gets knocked out. It's the guys who are killing each other.
Okay.
But
Makes
yeah,
sense.
so he had a performance of the night bonus. So Jesse Ronson ended up leaving that. He could have left with $14,000, $10,000 for payday, $4,000 for fight of the week incentive. So he won. So he got an extra 10 plus that 4. That's 24,000. Then he got a performance of the night bonus, $50,000.
Oh.
He made 74 instead of 14. He made $74,000 that night.
Cha-ching.
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 Probably American.
And we talk
likely American. That's a lot of fucking money.
And we talk about getting that cheese. What did he just do, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Went out and got that cheese, literally.
2 seconds. I gotta piss.
Okay. What?
I really gotta piss.
Well, he's gone. Whoa.
Sorry about that. It felt like I was holding that in since the Stone Age. All right. Anyways.
I didn't even say nothing. I just looked at
Just
the... Yeah.
sat there and
Took a drink.
whatever. All right. Yeah. Anyways, no, that feels a lot better. So yeah. So like I said, like, congratulations, Jesse Ronson. That's fucking huge. I think that's like, oh man, like, I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for all of his coaches.
Big accomplishment.
Yeah, his
Best of
other
luck
coach
on
Jesse, who went down with him, he's so dedicated to the sport. He's easily like one of the best like jiu-jitsu guys I know from southwestern Ontario. Like no, he's even a smaller guy than I am. We weigh about the same, but he's a little bit smaller than I am. But he really like he'll take guys 200 pounds plus and just turn them into pretzels.
It's like a horse Gracie.
So yeah, no. So
best of luck, Jesse, on your career. Hope you do well.
So yeah, no. Both the Jessies coming back from there, they really showed up for Canada. That's for sure.
Right on.
And Tanner Bozer. Tanner Bozer's such a prospect, man. Like that guy is. That guy came out of nowhere the last couple of months. Like he's showing the rest of the world how great he really is. Following that though, we had our Vegas show that just happened last night. We're filming this on Sunday. He had his Vegas show that happened last night, and the biggest takeaways from that is, so there was only 8 fights on that card last night. So the fight last week had 15. That was one of the biggest cards I ever seen. I was like, I love this shit. Like,
so how long was this event with only 8 fights?
This is what I want to get to.
Okay.
It's
because
like,
this is one of the things I struggle with WWE. They'll put on a 2-hour show on a Friday night, and it's only 33 minutes of wrestling in total.
Right.
So I'm curious. Break it down. 8 fights. How long was this card?
So we had
or event, if I may say.
Yep. First of all, so we had a couple days before. No, sorry, not even a couple. A couple days before, one fight got canceled. I can't remember which one it was.
COVID.
But right before, it was not COVID for that. But right before,
okay,
Gerald Meerschaert was fighting Ed Herman, and Meerschaert tested positive, so they canceled that fight, and we were down to 9 fights because it was already a small card to begin with. There was only like 10 fights or something that we had began with, but Meerschaert cut that down because he ended up getting COVID-19. All the recovery to you. I really hope that it goes as easily as a lot of the others. Meerschaert is a little bit older of a fighter, but I really do hope that your recovery is good for that.
Absolutely.
But then the craziest part about it for me was we're sitting there watching the fights, and Kevin Holland's set to face Giles, whatever. I don't know what his name is exactly, but he
let's call him Giles.
Giles, okay, but he was. I had him as my biggest underdog of the night that I was going to bet on, because I really liked him winning that fight, and he actually, not even in his dressing room, not even before whatever, he ended up fainting backstage on his walkout to the cage.
The hell happened?
You know what? Holland is a little bit of a mouthpiece. So he's like, oh yeah, that asshole fucking held his breath until he passed out. So he's a little bit of a mouthpiece in that way, but
yeah.
But I don't know. Like I hope he's recovered. I really do.
Yep.
It's only last night, so I don't understand. Or I don't know what happened.
Nothing's come out yet of why.
Nothing as far as I have looked at.
Okay.
But
well,
I do really hope he's okay.
Speedy recovery. Yeah. Best wishes.
But like I said, like those fights, down to 8 fights, they started it late. Instead of 7 instead of 5. So when they start at 7 instead of 5, there's 2 hours right there. That's 4 fights.
Okay.
So you take that off, that'd be 12 fights. So it still ended at about 11:15, because even the main event, on top of 8 fights, the main event had to get readjusted because it was originally supposed to be Holly Holm for a 5-round fight against Aldana, and that ended up getting canceled as well. And they ended up putting Derek Brunson against Edmund Shabazian in the main event. and they never renegotiated. It was kind of the same idea of Israel Adesanya versus Anderson Silva. So they never got a renegotiation because obviously you're supposed to make more money if you're going to do a 5-round fight.
Okay.
So they never had the renegotiation. So they just had a 3-round fight for the main event. So it wasn't a 5-round. So on top of only having 8 fights, we had a 3-round main event. So it ended later than I thought it would. Even so, it was like 11:15, 11:30 maybe. But that fight we had with the 15-rounder, that ended at like over 2. And like I said, last weekend was at the Apex. The weekend before that was at the Island. So the Island was really finishing at 10 a.m. their time. All through the night, all the way 10 a.m. And our fights ended at before midnight. So
right.
They had it a little easier in that aspect. But no, so it was a little crazy. I mean, they worked it out. There were some great fights like in the main card, but it was a little crazy. But the thing that kind of stretched it, which we were joking about, like the whole commentating experience, there was 10 groin strikes in 8 fights.
Oh.
10 times they got nailed in the balls in 8 fights.
Wasn't there?
So people were joking on that. They're like, oh, like we didn't have that many fights. All these fights got canceled. So this is the way they're stretching it out with 5-minute timers.
Weren't you at I forget. I thought, yeah. Don't know if it was Toronto or Vegas you were in, but you and some buddies went to a UFC event and someone yelled, some drunk guy was all quiet, kick him in the dick or something like that.
That was the Polyana Viana fight against I can't remember what her name is, the shy little one. But anyways, yeah, no, it was like
I remembered that right when you mentioned that. I was like, oh,
silent
God.
in the arena. Dead silent in the arena. First fight of the night. Nobody was really saying anything. And there's one drunk guy there just like, kick her in the dick! And every single person in the arena lost it laughing. Anyways, we want to get through this, but so we basically, so that had Mershert tested positive, like we said. The other one was Luke ended up winning a nasty knockout where he was trying to reach the other fighter was trying to reach for the ground, put his hands down to the ground. Mm-hmm. Luke hit him with an uppercut right before he reached down to the ground. Legal, completely legal.
Okay.
He was looking for a way out.
He
was not looking for a way out. He was looking for a way that he could place himself to where he could not get hurt too bad. But on his way down.
Now, if he would have kneed him.
He did knee him.
But like, for maybe some folks that aren't too.
No, and that's what I just said.
If you're on knees and like
that's
your
what
hands,
I just said. No, he was reaching.
Okay.
He was reaching for it because that was his way out from the knee.
Oh.
So he was reaching for the ground. If his hands touched the ground, it would be an illegal blow. He could have saved himself time, but as he was reaching for it, Vicente Luque pulled him up just a tad, so his hands didn't touch the ground. Kneed him, knocked him out.
So it's legal.
And
okay.
Vicente Luque at that time, he right after he called out Nate Diaz, they're side by side in the rankings, said Nate Diaz is only looking for super fights, but if he is not, I would love to fight him. Besides that, Calderwood, unfortunately, she took a chance losing her title shot against Valentina Shevchenko. She fought against Maya, and it was a risk, and she was winning the fight, but she ended up getting submitted, and that's the way the game works. She lost her title shot, so Valentina Shevchenko said, Jennifer Maya, looking forward to seeing you, whatever, in a tweet. So that happened, and then the biggest crazy thing that happened on that card was Derek Brunson easily defeating Edmund Shabazian. Shabazian was 11-0 coming in, high prospect. I literally had Shabazian. I bet on Shabazian round 1, 2, and 3 winning by knockout. Round 1, 2, and 3 winning by submission, making sure I could clear every way that he stopped him. I bet on every single one of those options because I knew no matter what, I was going to make more money than I betting on those. And he went in with an absolute crafty veteran like Derek Brunson. And Derek Brunson, good first round, close first round. After that, pieced him apart. And the end of the second round, Shabazian was potentially already knocked out. Sat in his corner. Coaches didn't stop it. Herb Dean wanted to stop it. Gave him a chance. Came out. Next round, out on his feet pretty much from the bell ringing. Herb stopped it with the first time he fell, pretty much. So that was awesome to watch.
If I was Herb, I would just stopped in the corner then.
Herb,
who talked him out of that decision?
Herb gave the doctor the decision.
Okay.
To walk in, and he said, "Doctor, come in here at the start of third round."
Check on him.
But then the doctor, the biggest thing I didn't like was the doctor, and Dana had brought it up as well. Dana White had brought it up. The doctor ended up sitting there talking to Shabazian in the corner for like over 20 seconds, and it was like, "You're Derek Brunson. You just did all that work in the last round." Knocking him out by the end of the round almost. Probably knocking him out on the ground, but he was still there a little bit. And then you get back to your corner and you decide, hey, like the coaches are going to keep me going. Herb Dean's going to keep me going. And then I stand up and the ref's just going to sit there talking to you for 20 seconds and letting you recover. Derek Brunson did all that work. He didn't deserve to get all his work taken away by a ref talking like that. But he did finish, made it anyways. But that's Dana White's 2 cents on it, and I agree.
Yeah, there's quite a few type of different things. Like it's like Tyson's first fight back from fucking jail when he fought that what's that clown's name, McNeil or whatever, that Irish guy. Remember he was bigger, just rushed him.
Well, that's where
there was controversy with that because Tyson knocked him out down in the first round within, I think, not even 15 seconds. We just see how that fight goes. But a lot of people, they say, oh, McNeil went down as, pretty sure that's his name, McNelly or something like that. McNeely, that's it. Went down, got up. Oh, heroic fight against Tyson. Oh, he did his best. But he gets knocked down the second time. His corner encroaches into the ring, which is automatically disqualification. So if you look at a lot of people saying that's a coward's way out, man.
Actually, that's the other thing about
you could hear McNeely's coaches saying to McNeely, "You ended up with." They knew they were going to lose.
I want to jump in on that real quick. Hey, I want to jump in on that real quick. It's
he said you ended on your feet.
I want to jump in on that real quick.
They knew they were going to lose.
So
man.
it's when you said this and that about like the coaches are not able to do this.
They can't come.
I don't remember which fight it was, but there was
not during a knockdown.
There was one that the coaches, when you are getting treated for a groin injury, it was one of the 10 groin injuries of the card. They said the same thing that you did. You are not allowed to coach while somebody is getting treated for a groin injury. You have to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like these guys did when McNeely got knocked down against Tyson. They came into the ring. You know, and everyone else knows. In boxing, you get knocked down, your corner can't come in.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people think intentionally disqualification to save their fighters' dignity, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't have been the first one that got knocked out by Tyson.
Anyways, okay, yeah.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, like real quick on the we have an upcoming show this week. Couple good fights on it, but I just want to touch on that real quick that we get to watch the Black Beast, Mr. Popeye.
Oh.
Mr. Popeye's chicken. No, that's actually Daniel Cormier, but stealing Mr. Popeye's chicken sponsorship. Derek Lewis fighting against Oleksiy Oleinik. That's going to be a great fight, I think, for sure. I am looking forward to it. We've got, following that, August 8th, we've got what is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I believe. We got TJ Laramie, who I mentioned last week while you're in the washroom. He's on the Dana White Contender Series, August 11th. Good luck, TJ. I think he's going to have a very dominant performance. I think he's going to...
Go out there and clean house.
Yeah, I think like I said, you weren't in here. I think he has a very GSP Habib type wrestling. He strikes and then he goes in and he takes the fight where he wants it to. So I do think TJ is going to do very, very
Best
well.
of luck.
Following that, a couple days later, August 14th, we've got UFC 4 video game cover. We got UFC 4 release date on August 14th, but we have the game cover already revealed. Words.
Undertaker tongue. You just saw it.
We've got UFC 4 video game cover revealed with Adesanya, Jorge Masvidal. It looks like.
How do you feel about that?
I think Adesanya deserved it. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the Jorge Masvidal thing before he lost to Usman. I'm not complaining. But the thing.
Are you gonna play it?
Oh fuck yeah, bro!
Oh yeah,
man. August 14th. I'm gonna stay the whole night up, doing that, and then I'm gonna sleep all day, and then I'm gonna go to Nolan's surprise party that he doesn't know about.
You didn't hear nothing.
Nolan's surprise party that he begged us to have, and then
but doesn't know about.
And then I'm gonna go straight to the fights, and I'm gonna watch the fights after I win the game in one night.
Fuck yeah!
That's what I'm gonna do. But anyways, yeah, no. So they had like Adesanya versus Masvidal. I think it's the most gangster cover ever, bro. It's they got them kind of standing there side by side with each other, and it almost looks like a Grand Theft Auto, like cool old school type of thing. It's fucking awesome, bro. I swear.
I always thought the UFC 2010 Lesnar cover was badass. Him coming in with the strike.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there's some good fighters on there, man. You could be Dan Severin, Frank Mir, Lesnar.
Oh yeah.
Velasquez. You beat Lesnar up with Velasquez just like he did.
Yep. Then following that though, we got UFC 252 main card picks. So I don't know if you looked into that.
A little bit, yes.
Okay, so we got. I'm gonna let you go first. We got DC versus Stipe.
DC.
Mm-hmm. We've got Dos Santos versus Rosenstruck.
Pass. No, Dos Santos. Are you kidding me?
Former world champ, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Dos Santos.
The one I don't think you would know, Magomed versus Kutlaba, yeah.
No comment. Don't know that one.
Okay. We've got Pedro Munoz versus Frankie Edgar. And we've got Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Or Yadong Song, whatever way it goes. Oh shit! No, sorry. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Sorry. No,
what happened?
No. I was reading my old last fight. No, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera.
Sugar Sean. There we go, Sugar Sean. Why not? I don't know, but I'm just picking.
All right,
Sugar Sean. I like the name.
Okay, so what I've got is I agree with you on the first one. I think DC defeats Stipe in their trilogy.
Absolutely.
Due to the strict fact that they're at the UFC APEX on that show. They've got a smaller cage. I believe that's going to help DC's wrestling style. I think his knockout power, closing up the distance like that, will help as well.
Smaller cage is like fighting in a kitchen, right? It's just so close in.
Yeah, I think it's
it's the same.
I think it's a second round knockout for him.
Okay, cool.
All right, we're just moving on from that comment.
Sorry.
And then next fight, I think Rosenstruck defeats the former champion Dos Santos. I really do. Because I think although he lost to Francis Ngannou in the first round by knockout, I think that Rosenstruck has knockout power that is dangerous for any single person in that division, and I don't want to define him off of one fight.
All right.
20
You hear it now. I'm betting $20 on Dos Santos. Make it official.
Okay, well, I'm going to rewind this, and I will make sure I remember as well. And although...
We were at 54 minutes and like 32 seconds when I said it. So.
Yeah.
Rewind it back there. Rewind it back around there.
I have...
That's the only bet I'm making.
I have Magomed defeating Cutabella via first-round KO. I believe, although their last fight was one of the worst stoppages that I've ever seen in my fight, or in my life, sorry. I think that at the time, he had him stunned. He was feeling his power. He was a little wobbled on the feet. And I do think a similar result is going to come from that. I think that the punching power is a little too much for him to handle. I have a first-round knockout. It was very early. It was before the first minute. I think that it's going to rewind itself on that one.
All right.
As far as Pedro Munoz, I have him to win by unanimous decision over Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar is coming down to bantamweight, which that fight itself was previously scheduled for a couple cards ago, but Pedro Munoz had coronavirus.
Oh.
And he was looking all right. He was like he recovered very, very quickly. We seen videos of him on a boat and shit. Whether that was
2 years ago
or previously or whatever,
yeah,
he was doing that. He was okay. So he seemed fine. Obviously he was fine because he's recovered and already booked a fight after that. So he might have been training during that time as well. But regardless, I have him unanimous decision on that. But I'm looking forward to that. It's one of my favorite fights on this card.
About that. I think Frankie Edgar.
That's okay. You can bet me twice.
I wouldn't say that, but
the last fight on the main card is my personal favorite by far. I'm potentially going to eat my own words on this, so you can bet me 3 times on this one as well,
or just twice. The Dos Santos and then this one.
No, you said Dos Santos, Frankie Edgar, and then this one.
No, I said no.
Oh, no to that
Frankie
one?
Edgar.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying because it's rare I beat this guy in bets. So if he's saying he's going to lose, I got to take this. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it, though.
Yeah, so the last fight I have on the main card, personal favorite, I'm probably going to eat my words for this one. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to eat my words for this one. So if you want to bet one, this is going to do it.
He's honest.
I have Marlon Vera defeating Sugar Sean O'Malley by another well-earned unanimous decision. I feel like Vera deserved the win that he just had over Song in his last fight. So in my mind, Marlon Vera is on a 6-fight win streak with 5 stoppages in those 6 fights. And I just think he is such a crafty veteran himself as well. And this might be a little too much for Sugar Sean O'Malley to move up to at his age. I think that Marlon Vera is going to grind him out until the end, and I think it's going to be a decision as long as it's not robbed by him for the Sugar Show hype. But, like I said, if he proves me wrong with another first-round knockout over Marlon Vera, mark my word right now, Sugar Sean O'Malley should be in the top topics more than he already is, and he should be fighting somebody in his next fight in the top 10.
Well, there you have it. There you have it, trash talkers.
So those are our main card picks right there. The next thing that I got up is that I talked about last week. Guy I stepped in the ring with, one of my friends that I believe is I'm a huge fan of, and one of the greatest top prospects coming out of this area is Jose Johnson. He is fighting on Dana White Contender Series on September 1st. He has 5 first-round knockouts in his last 5 fights. He is fighting a pretty tough contender as well, but I do think that that's the name of it. He's got the best fighting the best. And if he can perform like he did in the last 5 fights, Jose Johnson is going to be the next fight in the UFC and possibly the the next big star with the way that he knocks people out.
Let's see that knockout power.
Yeah. Following that, we're going to get through... I'm going to skip September 12th because I want to talk about that last, just so we can get through this real quick. The next pay-per-view we've got is Adesanya versus Costa on September 19th. I haven't seen any other undercard fights coming from that, but as far as Adesanya versus Costa itself, Costa's still coming in undefeated. He just had his fight over Yoel Romero. Impressive fight, very close fight, but I still have Adesanya winning that fight, whether it be, I have no prediction for that. It's whether Adesanya wins by knockout or he wins by decision. I just want to see that fight in general. He is Adesanya, like I've doubted him his whole time coming up, maybe because he was just a skinny little guy who we didn't think was going to knock out anyone, but he has just proved time and time after that he is the real deal. So I do have Adesanya winning, but
it's like the Paul Williams of boxing in a way.
Well, Costa's the real deal. And,
Paul Williams, he was like a kind of like tall, skinny guy, but had like a guy that should be using his reach, but he just walked in there just like, I don't know, like.
Well, that's what I might have said this last time, but yeah, no, I think I did because he was Paul Williams was one of, yeah, we did talk about this because he had his whole like wheelchair incident, which sucks, but
absolutely.
He was one of the greatest fighters to ever live before all that happened, and he fought Martinez, which was the
Sergio
craziest
Martinez?
knockout I have. Okay, I'm not gonna jump on this because I already said that Roy Jones Jr. was the craziest knockout, but when Paul hit him with that shot and he just flattened against Martinez, that was something to watch. Like, that was, as a kid whose first favorite fighter was Paul Williams,
and seeing him knock
out Martinez like that was.
Did you see when Paul Williams got knocked out and his eyes were open laying in the ring?
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yes.
Hey, actually, one of my favorite knockouts before we go, my boy Hatton, it was against Pacquiao, and it happened against Hatton. Just the way he come in, knocked. The cameraman looks at Hatton's girlfriend. She's crying. Some guy shoves the cameraman away. Anyways, just had to add that in for
no, man, that was the nastiest knockout, I think.
Oh, they had to turn him on his side. Hatton almost
yeah.
swallowed his tongue. He was out. Like, it was nasty. I thought he was dead. Jeez.
Yes, that's scary. Next up, though. And then there's talks about Cody Garbrandt fighting Marlon Moraes, who's the number one contender, which that fight scares me a little bit because Cody is like, not one of my favorites, but he's my favorite UFC fighter right now. So he's fighting Marlon Moraes in October, possibly. But he has publicly stated that he also wants to move down to flyweight to fight Figueiredo.
Now, is that possibly title. Over the weight difference or due to COVID activities? Is this
for 135?
Like, possibly you said they might fight in August.
There was rumors. I follow these pages. There was rumors that he was going to fight Marlon Moraes.
Okay.
But then Cody has come out publicly stating that he wants to fight for the 125 title.
Oh. All right, so this could be speculation or.
So everything is speculation right now.
Right. Okay.
But he's been mouth even with Sugar Sean O'Malley, and that's where I kind of get in with it, where it's like Sugar Sean O'Malley hasn't even fought anybody in the top 15. But Sugar Sean O'Malley is a high prospect that could be in the top 10.
Right.
But we don't know yet.
Yeah.
So we're going off his knockout law. He's impressive. He looks great, but when you want to go boom, 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 whatever, about talking about his fights, he really has not fought anyone worthy of talking about when he's going to call it somebody like Cody Garbrandt, who was a former champion. But I agree that I think that he should be in the topic if he wins this Marlon Vera fight. And if Cody decides to fight Marlon Moraes, then Cody should be next in line for another 135-pound title shot. But he has publicly stated, like I said, that he wants to fight Figueiredo for the 125 title, become a 2-time champion in 2 different weight classes. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out.
That's always crazy how, like, people, I don't know, wouldn't it be more, you cut a lot of weight during your fighting career and whatnot. Wouldn't it be more comfortable staying at the heavier weight? You could eat your food, you know what I mean? Or is it like...
People don't think like that, though.
Or, okay, well, that's why I'm asking. So, is it like, okay, I've... In Garbrandt's, like, his career, he's already won at 125. So, is that why he's going back? Or, like, is it just like, okay, I can't handle these guys that, like... That's my question. Mm-mm. It's a confusing question.
I don't.
Confusing folks out there.
It's not a confusing question.
So like,
it's a great question.
Isn't it even more stressful work cutting that much weight when you? You know what I mean? That's my question.
But I agree with you in a sense because when Cody announced that he wants to come down, mm-hmm. I've told you, I've stood beside Cody before.
Yep.
Cody is a lot bigger than I am.
Yep.
And I struggle.
I've seen the picture.
I struggle to make 125.
Yeah.
So when Cody comes out and announces he wants to go to 125, my first thought was, how the fuck? Like, exactly. Are you going to 125?
So why do that to yourself?
I think he wants to do it not because he can't compete, because he just knocked out with a walkaway knockout against Rivera. I think he wants to do it because it's a challenge. And I think possibly he wants to do it because TJ Dillashaw couldn't do it.
Ooh, rivalry. Possibly. There could be.
But, okay.
Yeah, that was the question. Anyways,
so moving on, though, we've got UFC's new deal you might have heard about. Reebok is set to expire in March of 2021.
Oh, really?
And
I didn't know that.
Venom will be UFC's new outfitting partnership.
Venom, eh?
Yeah, I remember Venom back in the day.
Uh-huh, me too.
So they will be using that, and I'm very interested to see in what their new outfits look like when they come out.
That's gonna be sweet. The logo is always sweet on shorts.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And then before we get to our random topics, because I skipped over it, our last topic is the thing I'm most excited about. It's Mike Tyson.
September 12th.
Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. So the first thing I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about how you think Mike and how you think Roy is going to perform at their age. I want to know your prediction. I want to know what you think is going to happen during those fights, because I think we live in a time that is so fucking, I'm going to drop this word again, phenomenal. I think we live in a time so phenomenal that we are going to watch not only a couple days or a couple years ago, Conor McGregor fight against Floyd Mayweather.
And Mayweather won. Yes.
But not only watch that, something you never thought would happen.
Nope.
We're going to watch another thing that we never thought was going to happen. Mike Tyson fighting Floyd Mayweather. Or Mike Tyson fighting Roy Jones Jr. Two things in the last couple of years we never thought we would ever see, all in the same years. And I know you have said to me that it's money, which it is. But money is a time that we live in where it's so amazing that we can get something off of that. Maybe it's not great. Maybe we're selfish. Maybe we're just like, oh, we want to see two old guys go at it because we're selfish and we never got to see it. But if you could have picked any other fight that you could have ever had in history and been like, if money would have made them come together, I would have taken it.
What, Tyson, Floyd?
Tyson versus Floyd.
Floyd? You mentioned that earlier. No, Roy Jones. Yeah. I mean.
No, I know that, but
you're picking.
No, but you've had, okay. I did get confused earlier, but like you had chances where people have went, even us have argued because you're a fucking idiot. We've went
That's not true.
We've went who's the greatest fighter of all time, Muhammad Ali or Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Muhammad Ali.
But
and I'm the smart one here, Muhammad Ali.
Either way, we've had that argument though, and it's like if you could make Floyd jump in weight, and you could make Muhammad Ali, rest in peace, be alive again, and you could make them come together in a common place, we would have that fight. And I feel like our day and time is something that would make that happen it was possible.
It would. They could do it on CGI right now if they wanted to. You just edit.
Do you remember CGI?
What is it? The Balboa?
Rocky Balboa?
Yeah, versus number 6.
Versus Antonio Tarver.
The Line Dixon.
Yeah. But I believe that in our day and time...
Is that name even allowed anymore? Mason the Line Dixon? That's, you know...
I believe it. He posted himself.
Okay, that's good.
He loves it. Fuck.
I'm a fan of it.
He had an amazing career, and then he went and
he was a good commentator too.
Became the most gangster whatever in Rocky Balboa Return.
Yeah. Rocky 6, Mason Dixon.
Rocky 6, yeah. Yeah. No, I think our day and time is the greatest time to ever maybe not be alive for boxing itself, because there was a lot of great times in boxing, but I think it's the greatest time to see shit that you never thought you were going to see.
Yeah. You know what? Since 2020 has begun, it's been full of surprises. All not great, but this one is a gift. For all fight fans that are really looking for escape from all the problems in the world, this is
I agree.
This is a treasure. This is a treasure to behold.
I want to give you your opportunity. I want to hear what you think about Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. as far as your predictions, as far as what you think about them, and anything else. Yeah.
Well, like him, I never thought this fight or exhibition, like some say, I know it will be more than an exhibition. They've already talked, right? Never thought this would be happening. So it's hard to like grasp words to put into like yeah, you could like try to go on Fight Night Champion, Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson. Maybe the game will let you do that. But now this is an actual thing, and they're older. So like I've said before on your personal Facebook, I've seen a lot of only some people going. But I said to him earlier, and I'm saying it now, a puncher always has a chance. And that puncher is Mike Tyson. Even at 54 years old, we've seen the videos. He looks great. He looks determined. Yes, Roy Jones has fought in recently. As you put them, pop cans, beer cans, tomato cans, whatever the hell. And yes, Tyson hasn't fought since 2004, 3, 1, 2.
So you're just stealing my points from like my next paragraph and like using them against
I'm just
me
saying.
now?
I'm just putting in my point. I'm just saying. For some reason,
okay,
if Tyson clips Jones and just hits him a little bit, punches like just boom. I'm just going with Tyson.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Tyson, guys. Leave your comments below, please. But I'm going with Tyson. I really am. I think the power is going to beat the speed this time. I really do. And that's just my opinion. And yeah. Prove me wrong on the... Well, tell me on the Instagram post or the YouTube. I say Roy. I say Tyson. So be a good conversation. I'm picking Mike Tyson.
It's always a good conversation.
By knockout, by always, 4 rounds or always. Stoppage.
Okay.
By 4.
And
round 4.
It's always a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you go with that, it's very, very tough to be right until you see it. Because
it's going to be awesome.
Because no matter what, you don't know what's going to happen because you don't know where they're at in their own lives.
This is bigger than Fury and Wilder. potentially.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Look at the names involved already, right?
It'd be bigger in their prime.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, all right. Anyways,
if you're done,
I picked my predictions: Mike Tyson, stoppage or knockout by round 4. That's what I'm going with.
So basically, for me, I kind of want to give a breakdown because I love both these careers so much, and I want to give a breakdown before I actually give my prediction, just because I've waited for this moment for my entire life. I never thought I was going to get this in my entire life. I never thought I was going to be talking about a Mike Tyson fight on air. I never thought I was going to be talking about a Roy Jones Jr. fight against Mike Tyson on air. I never thought that little Gibbons was going to be sitting there able to discuss his favorite fighters in boxing ever even coming to surface to do what they're about to do. So
2020 dreams come true.
Yeah, I've got a lot to go here. So
all right, let's hear it.
First of all, as you just heard, Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson are set to face off September 12th in an 8-round exhibition in his new Legends Only League. I'm not really sure where Jake Paul fits in that sentence, but he'll be fighting for his fans.
He doesn't.
And I'll be making nachos during that time to prepare for the main event and remainder of that card.
Yeah, take a piss break.
Mike Tyson is so impressive with how quick he did everything. Quickly finishing opponents. He quickly had almost 30 fights in 2 years. He quickly grabbed titles. He had 15 fights in 1985, 13 fights in 1986, and in his second year, stopping Trevor Berbick to become the youngest heavyweight champion, collecting the WBC title. He continued his unstoppable reign, knocking out names like Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks for the next 4 years, until his first loss being knocked out by Buster Douglas in one of the biggest upsets in combat sports history, with Douglas coming in as a 42-1 underdog. Tyson then went 8-0 in his next 7 years before meeting Evander Holyfield with back-to-back losses, including the infamous DQ where he snacked in Holyfield's ear.
Twice.
Tyson again continued his winning ways for the next 5 years until meeting one of Canada's most highly respected athletes, Lennox Lewis, where he lost by knockout. His final win was to Clifford Etienne in 2003, and then Tyson retired in 2005 after 2 defeats to Danny Williams and Kevin McBride. On the opposite end, Roy Jones Jr. faced his biggest scandal, or the biggest scandal, in Olympic boxing history in 1988, when he suffered a 3-2 loss in the gold medal match to Park in South Korea, where he outlanded Park 86-32. In 1989, Roy Jones Jr., arguably one of the greatest pound-for-pound boxers to ever lace him up, started his professional career going 20-0 before his stoppage victory over Percy Harris for the Continental America's super middleweight title. In his 22nd professional fight, he won the IBF world title in a highly competitive match with Bernard Hopkins, scoring a 116-112 on all 3 scorecards. Jones continued his undefeated streak with impressive wins of one of Seth's favorite boxers, James Toney, by unanimous decision, moving up from middleweight to super middleweight in 1994. And then he defeated Vinny Pazienza, which is one of my favorite knockouts of all time.
Beautiful combination.
After knocking him down, he walked out of the corner, he raised his arms up, he walked out towards him, hit him with a left uppercut, 2 left hooks, a right hook, a right uppercut, followed by sitting him down against the loose ropes that they contended during that fight with a left uppercut. This was against a man like Pazienza, who had such a strong will that he was portrayed beautifully in the movie Bleed for This by one of my favorite actors, Miles Teller. In Roy's 35th professional bout, after going 34-0, he moved up to light heavyweight in 1997 and received his first loss to Montel Griffin by disqualification. Late hit, my title, they had to take it. Why? I guess that's the only way I could lose. He received the immediate rematch and knocked down Montel Griffin with the second left hook and knocked him out in round 1 with a left uppercut with 30 seconds remaining. Roy had an impressive run at light heavyweight between 1997 and 2002, going 13-0 against names like Reggie Johnson, Glenn Kelly, beating David Telasco with a fractured wrist, and the Richard Hall fight, which is my favorite overall performance ever by Roy. Despite recommendations because of his size and efforts, when Roy was 47-1, he moved up to fight John Ruiz for the WBA title, WBA heavyweight title, and completely picked him apart. Roy had a few bad weight cuts that seemed to really change his career, moving back down to light heavyweight following the win. Although he beat Antonio Tarver by decision in their first meet, he lost their trilogy and had a KO loss to Glenn Johnson in between. During the second bout, the referee asked Roy and Tarver, "Do you have any questions?" Tarver then responded, "Yeah, I have a question. You got any excuse tonight, Roy?" Followed by handing Roy his first TKO loss. Roy collected a few wins, including one over legendary Felix Trinidad, before suffering his next loss to Joe Calzaghe, which in my opinion was the most outclassed Roy Jones has ever been defeated. Roy had an impressive win following that over Jeff Left Hook Lacey, where he used his own nickname against him, beating him with that left hook the whole fight. He suffered a few more losses following that, including one to Bernard Hopkins, who he had beaten earlier in his career. But although Hopkins seems like he never ages, so we got to give him that. Between 2011 and 2018, Roy has managed to go 12-1, but his competition has not been nearly the level that it had used to be. For their exhibition, I now want to give you my prediction. Mike Tyson comes to the ring age 54 with his last win in 2003. Roy comes to the ring age 51 with his last win in 2018. Although Mike Tyson looks outstanding and we all should take notes from his hard work, his dedication, I believe staying active in recent years will be the deciding factor in this matchup. I believe it's going to be similar to the MMA fight between Ortiz and Chuck Liddell that just happened, where Ortiz was active the last few years. Chuck Liddell had not fought for the last decade. And Ortiz finally got his first win very, 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 very quickly. I believe that will be the same factor to how Roy beats Mike, despite it being an exhibition. I believe that will be the same factor. I think it will cruise his way to a very one-sided unanimous decision, or my ballsy response, I believe that he will win a 6-round knockout. TKO, I should say. Technical knockout.
Okay.
Back to our topics. After that, we have our random topics. The first one I want to get into is Seth. Some of the best fighters you think that have never held a belt.
Ooh. This is both.
Do you have your book for that, or is that the next one?
That's the other.
The other one? Okay. Yeah.
But this one, best fighters in both sports that never have held a belt.
Yeah, just give me a couple, because I know neither of us prepared very well for this conversation, but I'm very intrigued by this conversation, and I just like to know if you have some fighters at the top of your head.
Jeez.
Because the one that I had already mentioned before was Joe Benavidez. Had 4 title shots in the UFC, 1 title shot in the WEC, and he never won a title. Despite being one of the greatest fighters and being number 1 contender for years running, he never was able to get that win.
So if this guy had 4 title shots, he didn't win. It's 4 losses.
Yes.
I thought Dana White is pretty cutthroat on if you get a
He's
couple
cutthroat now.
losses.
He's cutthroat now.
Get the hell out
No,
of
no,
the
no, no,
freaking-
no. He's
You're
cut.
out?
He's a couple losses in a row.
Okay.
He didn't have 4 title shots in a row.
No, but like, okay, yeah, I guess it's different.
Yeah. No, but he's cutthroat where he actually like, and that's great.
Like CM Punk, get the hell out of here.
It's great that you bring up Dana in that aspect because Dana, but I believe a lot of us think this way as well. I'm not just like throwing a Dana under the bus under that. But
work,
no, I'm not throwing
like
Dana under the bus
job.
under that. But it's cutthroat where Dana said right after that fight, Joe Benavidez is never having a UFC title fight again.
Yeah.
He's not cut.
Yeah. But it's just, hey,
Yeah.
you can't. We've given you more than enough. But that's a tough one for me.
Just give me one. Best fighters never to hold the belt.
Best fighters to never hold
boxing, MMA, anything.
Oh boy. Gonna have to look at
What about Ali days?
what, the Ali days?
Because they bounced around a little bit, but there's got to be one that never actually held it.
Trying to think.
If you can't, then we'll move on.
We'll move on.
Okay.
But like
if it comes to your head,
I'll
let me
just,
know.
you know me, it'll pop up.
Next one, potential fixed/thrown fights in history. The one that
The most famous one I can think of is the Phantom Punch. That they think potentially
I think it's a Phantom Punch.
could have
I know
been.
we were talking about it already.
Some have thought, because I'm going to break this down just for a little bit of the time we got here.
Yeah.
We all know, everyone who's watched this sees Ali land the punch on Liston's jaw.
He did.
And he falls.
He
you
did.
see his...
Yeah.
There's no clear doubt in anyone's mind that happened. It's the fact is that people don't believe Liston actually was hurt by it. They think he actually stayed on the ground and let himself get counted out. George Foreman was one to say that. Facing Ali, he says it in the documentary. Liston was the only fighter to stand up to me in sparring matches.
To you?
George... Me?
He stood up to you? No, I'm just joking.
Jeez.
I'm just teasing you.
It's more like I wouldn't stand up to him. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't even be there.
Stand up, Junior.
I wouldn't even be there. Screw that. I'll watch on TV. But Foreman said Liston was the only guy that would stand up to me in a sparring match. And those are two big bang and freaking hard throwing punching guys. They even say Liston's jab is tougher than Tyson's hook. So that's why Foreman had a problem watching the punch from Ali and thinking, how did Liston get knocked out by that? There's also from Liston's wife, she says Liston got in the car and said, I am not going to sit there and act stupid and get beat up by a guy that I can't beat. I'm just going to go out. Some say, they say Liston, it's proven he was involved in the mafia. That's another, that's a whole nother topic. We're just talking about this fight. But that's the most important fixed quotations, because I don't think it was fixed. You could even look at Ali after he knocks down Liston. Get up. He's yelling at him, get up, saying, oh, come on, man, really? And the fight before
the one, okay, I'm going to jump in there. The one thing that I want to say that people don't realize when they watch that kind of stuff, but I think a lot of people believe in the Phantom Punch on that scenario specifically. I believe in it. The one thing is the hardest punches you ever get hit by are the ones you don't see.
That is yes. It's even like Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan to get hit. Their whole plan changes after that. Yeah. So yeah, that is a statement that fits perfectly with Sonny Liston's defense. Obviously, we will never know because he passed away, I think, in 1971 under suspicious circumstances. Was it drug overdose? They say he wasn't a drug dealer, but he was involved in mafia. Like I said, another conversation, right?
There's a lot of great stories about
Ali's gone too, right?
So, a lot of great stories about those fighters from those times. When you watch their movies, there's a lot of not necessarily suspicious, but there's a lot of
just dark
seedy, dark spiritual, like not spiritual, sorry, dark dark times to watch.
It's like an underworld in the boxing
Yeah.
back in those days. Like, it seemed like throughout the 20s to like the 60s, it was like a lot of rigged and, you know what I mean? Like the mob or somebody was betting on fights, like, you know, like Jack Dempsey
But
times.
that's the thing when you watch a guy like Muhammad Ali, it just seems like he's such a free spirit that he would, like, even in those times, he didn't seem to give a shit about what anyone in those positions thought about him.
Well, you know, it's funny how the evolution of the African American fighters go. Sam Langford, quiet. He was never given the shot.
Sam Langford, 1910.
Yeah. Never given the shot. Extraordinary fighter. Well before his times. Will always be forgotten due to the racial line, unfortunately. Jack Johnson, the loud mouth, he dated white women.
Jack Johnson got a shot though.
Oh, he was champion. He beat Tommy Burns, the Canadian, in Australia.
He got a shot, but they tried to push him away.
Yeah, because he would just dance around. He would date white women, which they didn't like back then. Yes. Bring them across state lines. Okay, Joe Louis comes around. They say to him, okay, you're good, blah, blah, blah. Don't be like Jack Johnson. Don't raise your arms when you knock a guy out. Just go back to your corner. Be humble. Just be quiet.
Yeah.
Joe Louis. Guess who comes out? Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. I'm knocking your motherfucking ass out.
Yeah.
Greatest of all time. And then there's been many fighters from all races since then. It's just the way that it seems like there's one example, another example, like one loud guy, quiet guy, loud guy, and then like it just
it
just seems weird. Like you even have a Floyd Patterson, a gentleman Floyd Patterson who listened beat.
But that's not weird because it's like
it's just
it's the way that it should be. Is like who gives a fuck what color your champion is?
No, it shouldn't matter
as long as he knocks out.
But that's
your former champion.
Well, that's just it. Back in the day, it just seemed like, okay, you're a certain color, so you have to act like this way. But
back in the day.
But
I mean, like even progressing through this, it's like who gives a fuck if you have a charismatic champion? Who gives a fuck if you have a quiet champion? Who gives a fuck if you have this and that?
As long as he goes on, puts on a good show, defends his title.
That's
shouldn't
all.
Fucking matter.
That's all.
Yeah. That's our opinion here.
Anyways, but okay, so moving on to that because we do want to get back. You specifically want to ruin our podcast going to a shitty Maple Leafs game tonight.
Go Leafs.
So we are pressed on time a little bit, but
you promised not to bring that up.
Well, you promised not to wear your hat, and I'm glad you didn't. So,
you see one? No. Okay.
Last random topic before we get to your stuff completely. Johnny Depp claiming Elon Musk. I heard this on the radio randomly when I was at work in Imperial, driving in the truck. Johnny Depp claims that Elon Musk slept with his wife and that he would cut off his dick if he continued to do it.
Sounds naughty.
Elon Musk then laughed, claiming that he likely did not do it and saying that he wanted to cage fight him. My question off that is, who do you think would win in a cage fight between Johnny Depp and Elon Musk?
Holy fuck. Oh, let me think here.
Elon Musk feels to me like a super nerd.
Yeah, then you're fighting Jack Sparrow. You're fighting Jack Sparrow, a guy. I'd pick Johnny fucking Depp. I think he kicks the fuck out of Elon
even with
Musk.
the drug using he's done over the years.
It doesn't fucking matter.
You don't think so? A brittle old man like that against a young Jack nerd.
Oh,
you don't think it's a schoolyard bully scenario?
Who's the bully?
Well, Johnny Depp.
Okay.
He said, "I'm going to cut off your dick."
Now,
like I feel like that's the bully in the situation.
So where
right?
did it's weird where this had come from? Like, so what did Johnny Depp's wife say, "Hey, yo, I banged Elon Musk," and then he's like, "Hey, you banged my wife, and we'll cut off your dong"?
I'm literally going off one conversation that I heard while I was sitting in the back of a truck at Imperial Oil, listening to the radio and them saying that Johnny Depp, through the grapevine, had heard that Elon Musk banged his wife and he wants to cut off his dick now. And then Elon Musk saying back, we can have a cage fight. That's the only thing I've heard about that. And if you heard more about it, then it is what it is. But as far as right now, all I'm asking for is who would win in a straight up fight that doesn't have Johnny Depp's little knife flicking around like this.
All right, so Johnny Depp unarmed in a cage fight. Undercard of Tyson Jones Jr.
Legends only.
Legends. Hey, Depp is a legend, okay? And Elon Musk has done some stuff.
Legends only.
Yeah.
Right before Jake
Johnny
Paul's
Depp. I'd
fucking,
rather watch Johnny Depp fight than Jake Paul.
I agree.
So
completely.
Be more of a entertaining fight.
Yeah.
I'm taking. I think Johnny Depp. I just. What does Elon Musk have to? And next thing you know, Elon Musk is like a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Well, he does his.
Oh, now he tells me he is.
He does the podcast with Joe Rogan very, very often. So and he's in shape. He's in shape. So my thoughts or wonders is if he's ever gotten invited to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class with Joe Rogan.
I'm gonna say yes.
So potentially.
What if Johnny Depp's a bad motherfucker behind closed doors?
Johnny Depp's a bad motherfucker in general. It's not behind closed doors.
Okay, true.
But
okay.
My whole thing
I'm going with his Depp, man. All right. I'm going with Depp. And that's me.
If it ever happens, and if it
I
happens,
hope it does, that'd be awesome.
If it happens on Legends only, I'm going to take Elon Musk just to jump on the other side.
Whatever happened to Bieber versus Tom Cruise? Whatever happened to that fucking fight?
Well, I don't know.
What?
Maybe they still got beef. I don't know.
Well, let's hope. 2021.
So the other thing we want to bring up, congratulations to George St. Pierre, Canadian Zone, commentating on the new pay-per-view team. What was the abbreviation? No, the abbreviation you were saying earlier. Was it French network or no?
No, just Canadian.
Oh, it's just strict Canadian, so it's in English?
I think it's ESPN, man.
It's English, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not French. It's just strictly Canadian UFC broadcast team because ESPN has rights to UFC. You know that, right?
Well, even better then. Yeah, congratulations GSP that we're going to be listening to very, very soon. And as I was saying to Seth, I think that GSP is not necessarily one to get very, very excited. Like DC throwing his hand back and like getting crazy, but I think GSP is one that's going to add to the commentating team that will break down the fights in a way potentially even better than Dominic Cruz does, because Dominic Cruz is a guy who will sit there very calm himself.
You to say that.
It's very calm for Dominic Cruz to sit there and be like, this is what's happening, but I feel like even GSP, like even watching his workout videos, he really likes to break down the most detailed responses he possibly can, and I think that's what he's going to bring to the commentating world. And as a Canadian, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so you got your book ready already. He finally actually came prepared for this one. I came
prepared this time, ladies and gentlemen.
So we've got 3 topics he wants to go over. The first one is WWE. I'm just gonna jump it straight to you.
Yeah.
You got your book with you as well.
Over there, yeah.
So the 2 topics, I'm gonna shut up for a little while. We've got WWE pay-per-view Extreme Rules, and then we've got Seth's bare knuckle boxing champion book that he has over there with.
I'll explain more.
Yeah, Dan Donnelly, and I'm not even gonna say that because you're gonna talk about it. The arm.
Yep.
And then your last call out.
The call out.
Take it away.
It'll be
take
just
it away.
Clear something out, but we'll start with
just take it away, buddy.
Extreme Rules 2020 in brackets, the horror show for all you wrestling fans. If you're watching, kickoff match. It was Kevin Owens, a Canadian, actually from around the Windsor area, versus Murphy, a disciple of Seth Rollins. Well, Kevin Owens wins by pinfall. That doesn't matter. So it starts. 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tag match, table match, SmackDown Tag Team Championship, New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke and Cesaro wins. Thank freaking God, because the New Day is just ridiculous. They run out. Well, since the crowd's been gone, they haven't been able to throw their pancakes in the crowd. I don't know how much money they've spent in pancakes, but I'll just continue. Women's SmackDown Championship. Sounds hot. Nikki Cross versus Bayley. The champ. Pinfall win. Bayley wins. My girl. To retain the SmackDown Women's title. I just send her money. I'm just kidding. I wish. Anyway, she's my favorite. This is the one I'm going to spend most time on. The eye for an eye match.
Spend the most time or the most money?
I wouldn't spend money on this shit if it was freaking that place they got down the road there. I forget what you call it.
Go ahead, buddy. Yeah, eye for eye.
Eye for an eye match. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio. We all know who Rey Mysterio is. Obviously, Seth Rollins. Well, not obviously, because I'm telling you, unless you've watched. Seth Rollins wins. My biggest thing is, so eye for an eye, you already, the stipulation is you need to lose an eye to lose. So we are, okay, so you guys get that. So Seth Rollins takes Rey Mysterio's head and drives his eye into the corner. And he's screaming, and people are looking crazy. Pandemonium. I'm watching like, oh my God, are you kidding me? If you can't pull it off, don't do it. So, next thing you know, Mysterio falls back like this. There's a little bit of ketchup or something going on in his eye. Oh, I can't feel it. Mike Cole goes, the eye's out. The eye's out. And then, like I said, you guys probably know those Halloween gumballs get around Halloween, obviously. They look like eyes. It looked like that's what Rey Mysterio was trying to hold in. The most funniest part I got about that was Seth Rollins walking around. He just tried to sell it, then the camera just went straight from him.
And that's what I asked earlier. Do you think that they potentially put something in, like a water bottle, that could have could have forced the exaggeration of him throwing up like
absolutely. That. I think Seth would have had something or something he would have bit on to make him just, I don't know, accumulate saliva and I don't know, just
something to really exaggerate the situation.
Exactly, yeah. And to make it look like he's actually disgusted on what he just done when you went into that match knowing you're going to take a guy's eye out, but you still went through with it. Anyways,
yeah.
Raw Women's Championship match: Sasha Banks versus Asuka. Sasha Banks wins by pinfall to win the belt. I put my question line because Bayley, my girl, she was out there because they're BFFs. Asuka spit green lime into a mist in the ref's eyes, so the ref was like, oh my God, oh no. So Bayley runs in, she takes the ref's shirt off, puts the thing on, and then her girl, Sasha, pins her. And then 1, 2, 3. What I found out later was Stephanie McMahon said, well, no, you can't do that because you're not a referee. Fast forward to this past Friday, Sasha Banks is the Raw Women's Champion. So Bayley has the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha has the Raw Women's Championship, and they are the Tag Team Women's Champion. Moving on, and we're almost through here, was WWE Championship Extreme Rules match. Only for Ziggler, which means if Drew McIntyre, the champion, hits Ziggler with the chair, it's over. If he gets counted out, it's over. But Ziggler could do all that and get away with it and win because they signed a contract where Ziggler picks the stipulation. Total soap opera. Didn't seem to matter. Drew McIntyre threw him around like a rag doll, retained the championship. We all knew that was going to happen, whoever watches.
Especially the guy who wrote the script.
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, the swamp fight. Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. There was alligators involved. There was he fought himself. Alexa Bliss showed up.
Wait, rewind. Alligators?
Alligators were in the water.
They were fighting in the water?
A swamp match, man. It was...
Oh, jeez. Okay, I've been out of wrestling for a long time since I've been like fucking 10. I didn't realize there were swamp matches.
Well, since the COVID breakout, you know, there's no fans, so you gotta make, like... They're trying to make it movie, you know what I mean? So there was, like... It was, there was alligators. He had to fight himself. Then this girl he has a crush on. She's like, come on, Brian, come here. And then, you know, I was like, holy fuck, man. But it ends on them both going... That is
the biggest trap. That is like, if you want to watch a movie or you want to watch something like that and you understand what's the biggest trap ever, it's a girl on top of an alligator telling you, come here, baby.
She was on top of the alligator, but that would have looked more hot.
Sitting there in her fucking bikini, just like, come on. Oh, you said Ron? Or
Braun.
Braun, sorry.
Braun's his name, yeah.
Come here, Braun.
Alexa Bliss?
Everything's gonna be okay.
Sounds like a fairy tale now. But that was the gist of the Extreme
You
Rules.
And that snap and that snatch are not fucking getting anywhere close to me.
Yeah, no fuck. That was Extreme Rules. And one more topic here. It's an interesting old...
Oh, you're not even letting me do the topic. Oh, okay. We got, yes. You're going to say the arm?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
all
part of the book.
All right. Go for it.
I don't know who's read this, but...
You showed them the title?
Yep. Dan Donnelly.
Dan Donnelly. 32 years old.
He died at 32 years old.
Yeah, 32 years old.
Yep.
1788, 1820.
So, he was a pugilist, a publican, and a playboy. Knew how to live, that means. So he started out as just a regular old Irish guy. It was when Ireland was still a part of England before the whole revolution started. So there was a big row between the countries during this time. So it all started with Dan Donnelly. He was sitting in a tea shop or coffee shop, and his dad was coughing. A bunch of Navy sailors were insulting his dad, and he got up and he said, "Hey, you got an issue? Blah blah blah." They exchanged words.
Said, "Hey, how many times do you guys blow each other on the boat?" And
exactly. And Dan Donnelly knocked the piss out of both of them.
I'm just joking. Anyone I know in the Navy, but yeah.
Better clear that up. Yeah. So he goes on. They go, "Okay, yeah, you got a good punch." Has another fight against a last name Hall. I think his name was Tom Hall. Ends up fighting a Henry Cooper on the supposedly haunted grounds to this day. It's let's see what we got here. It's the Karag.
Yep.
He's the king of the Karag. And why? Because supposedly there's fairies and he was a giant, and there's footprints that they supposedly traced from him leaving the battlefield of breaking Henry Cooper's jaw out in the second round, I believe it was. Anyways, where this story gets interesting. So
can I ask you? Can I jump in real quick there? Where did they fight? Like, it was just in
Ireland.
No, I know that, but where did they fight? Like, you know, this is probably not something you need to look up. Where did they fight? Because you said there's footprints.
The Karag.
Did they just fight in the middle of a field?
Yeah.
At that time?
It was I think it's called like Kilhooly or something,
okay.
Ireland. But the Karag, which I pointed out here. There he is there.
Who's that?
That was Dan Donnelly.
Oh, that's Donnelly, okay.
That's what the man... I don't know if you guys could see him, but that's what he was... They didn't have cameras back then, right? There's no selfies. So that's him. He's got sideburns. Good looking guy like me, of course. But that's where he fought was the Krog.
Okay, but the Krog...
It's like it's down a hill, and it's like a forest around. Okay. So it's like pretty much where people just gather around, like, and
so they were. Was it like a street fight? But they were only boxing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess it went.
So there was no ring.
That's how it looked.
There was no ring. They obviously, did they have ropes at that time?
Mm-hmm.
They had the ropes surrounding them.
Yeah. And the rules there were even because the first knockdown Dan Donnelly gave Cooper was a hip toss.
Okay.
Because back in the 1800s, you could hip toss somebody, and it would count as a knockdown.
So it was like a
Almost.
it was like a Muay Thai fight, but there was no kicks or knees involved.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could like
judo
get in a clinch, and then I would, or you either toss, okay,
yeah,
get up, blah,
get
blah.
up and reset.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's how it'd go, and there was no round limit, so it took as long as it took.
Well, that's like we were talking about. There was no round limits up, and even till like one of the first first 3 UFC fights.
Exactly, right.
Like they would just fight it out, and then the next fights was, or the couple fights after that was, basically they would run it through where it was, they do the rounds, or they do the 1 round, I believe, and there was a time limit on it, and if nobody was the winner by the end of it, it was a draw, no matter how badly somebody kicked their ass. Like for example, up there, like I already talked about, Royce Gracie versus Shamrock.
Mm-hmm.
Shamrock just flattened him the entire time. Ended up a draw. So anyways,
that's what pretty much happened with Donnelly and Cooper. Henry Cooper, he was the English champion at that time. He was nobody to be messed with. He's a bargeman, tough guy, worked on the docks. Well, it's funny how they scheduled the fight. They met in a bar, drinking beer and smoking tobacco. Okay, let's sign a fight. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
It's cool ways back then, eh? What time to be alive. So that fight happens. So Donnelly, I think he fights another guy after that. He wins, pretty much win his life undefeated, even though he only had about, I think, 4 to 3 fights. So anyways, he becomes this publican. He loved to drink. He owned a string of bars and clubs and became this playboy. Many different floozies going around. They knew who he was. He was like the popular guy at the time, right? So how he died is like pretty unique. Like,
how'd they know about that though?
What do you mean?
Is my question. How'd they know that he was a playboy?
Because there's people that, how I have this book, there's people that talked about him throughout after years he's died. He was he was a big deal. It'd be like if they would talk about Mayweather today.
Do you think, like, obviously his fights themselves were likely reported, but do you think as far as floozies and Playboy, do you think these 32 years of his life between this time, that was 200 years ago now, potentially could just be like people, for example, like Floyd Mayweather, who would know, that's a bad example because Floyd, I think, like, a lot of the shit that he says, or a lot of shit that the girls say are true about him being aggressive and abusive.
He did jail time
but for example, like Mike Tyson, who really, really, really gets flustered about people accusing him of being abusive. Floyd Mayweather, I don't know why I always say Floyd for everyone.
He's your boy.
I love Floyd, I guess. Yeah. But Conor McGregor, too, for example, with them saying this was that's his baby, and this and that, but him saying it's not, and this and that. A lot more examples I can't think of, but do you think there's a potential these 32 years, 200 years ago, that these possibly could just be women that realize Dan Donnelly is such an icon and they're adding to his story?
Absolutely. So there's always speculation for that. There's always room for that.
So, but what is so predominantly accurate about this story that makes all of that cemented in your head that you think that this possibly could be?
Why? Because true? Why? Social media wasn't a thing back then. It's not like, say you had a girlfriend, you're a famous fighter, and you broke with her and she just said something just to do something. It's not like it would take a month or a week or something to travel and no one knows who you are. It's just, the thing is with Dan Donnelly himself, the character he was a drunkard, and he was easily taken advantage of through money. People say, hey, hey, I got this business. Can you invest? Blah, blah, blah. And he, oh, yeah, man, you're my buddy. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, I see what you mean. Maybe after, because, yeah, he was a rich guy. He was, like, the most prominent guy in Ireland around the time of his death. Yeah, there would be room for a woman to say, oh, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm so-and-so, and I was with him. Yeah, I could see that. But what makes it... This guy... It's not only what he did during his life. It's what happened after. And this is when it gets interesting. So he dies when he's 32 years old in 1820. He's in his pub. He allegedly gets done a game of an intense, really warm, hot day out there of racquetball. Comes in, chugs an ice cold jug of water. He walks a few steps, he collapses and he dies. There's one.
Okay.
Ice cold water shocks the system, I guess.
Really? That's what...
That's one. One of...
rumor.
One rumor how he could have died. He was really exerted. He started chugging water and he just collapsed and he died right then and
Was
there.
he cutting weight at the time?
Fuck, I don't think there was cutting weight back then in the freaking 1820s.
Okay.
But he drank a lot, right?
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Maybe he had liver sclerosis.
Shocking his system. They're like, this doesn't taste like alcohol.
The second thing was liver sclerosis. That maybe he just had, because he used to drink 2 quarts of liquor and whiskey in his corner during sparring rounds.
Okay.
That was his water. He would just go, okay, all right.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier about water in the corner.
That's how, well, sparring, right?
Yeah.
That's how he would roll. So they think, okay, maybe he drank himself into oblivion. The guy had enough money to... They say as he walked from the Carrog up the hill, they etched his feet. And that's why they look bigger, because people, like, etched it around. And
around a boot or something? Or
did
they have...
He had, like, a shoe on, or a boot or shoe on or something. This is exactly what they were
What were their
wearing.
boots made out of then? Do you know?
Oh, probably cowhide or something, or leather.
Okay.
Probably leather.
So they were thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone, hey Dan, stand there. Let me cut this around your foot, and then you walk.
But it looked bigger. He likely never took off his shoe.
No,
whatever.
no.
Whatever.
A lot of people think, oh, Dan Donnelly was a giant. That's a lot of fucking. I think they just cut around his foot. I think they just.
I have seen in the Boxing Hall of Fame actually, because when you originally brought this up earlier, I didn't know who this was.
Sound familiar?
I've seen his hands.
Yeah, the arm.
No, I've seen his hands.
There's only the arm left, dude.
No, his handprint was in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
This guy?
Yes.
Wow. I've seen
I believe. I might be wrong, but if you're saying that they thought he was the giant and his footprint was like that, I believe this is possibly the same guy that his hand was statued in there.
It could be.
It might be. I'm not going to quote myself on that, but if the way you're explaining him, this might be his hand, because I remember it was around the same time he was active, and his hand was.
They thought he was more than this world. Man.
I have little baby hands. His hand was twice the size of mine. That's what I remember. If that's the same boxer.
They're the way they etched out his feet. A lot of people have speculated Dan Donnelly was a giant, but a lot of people say, well, he was. Well, they say the same about the whole story of David and Goliath. Goliath was actually about maybe 7 or 6 feet, and the average man back then was shorter, right? But we don't do religion here. But he walked away. So what happens? It gets interesting now. He dies. As we explained, the third cause could be an STD, because Playboy says it right here. Books don't lie.
Well, there's no statue on his.
They probably said it right on there. Wouldn't that be badass? Is that just name?
Wouldn't that be badass?
Wouldn't that just say that under your name, like Playboy? This guy got around, dude. This guy partied, man.
Wouldn't that be badass if you walked into the Boxing Hall of Fame and there was just a huge fucking statue of his dick? Like up, like it's like this guy has.
I would go, now who's the sick motherfucker that cut that off? What does that have to do with fighting?
But he's sitting there shaving it, like, and he's like sitting there, he's like, perfect, like.
he kind of brought us to my next point about this book.
Wait. But he goes
cutting off. We'll get into that right now. Don't worry, it's not about dicks.
They're like Bigfoot's big hands. Playboy. 1820. Not many accurate in detail descriptions about his Playboy life.
He only has one leg.
Maybe he's got a boxing Hall of Fame worthy dangling.
There's the fighting stance back then, gentlemen.
Let's see. Wait.
That's how we roll.
Zoom up. Let's see the shorts.
Those are pants.
Oh God, that's why they're pants.
Are they like capris?
Yeah, they're capris.
Look like capris.
Look.
Or are those long socks?
Look at this.
I don't know. Are they long socks?
Look at this right here. You see that shadow? That's why he's the Playboy. That shadow's going down almost to his knees. That's why he's wearing capris instead of shorts.
Yeah, you're talking about a legend right now. Oh, fuck off. Jesus. Anyways. Leave it to this guy to notice. But like he said, chopping off things off. And this is where this guy's...
I hope he doesn't chop it off, but... Jesus.
Anyways. Aside from my friend... Or I'm a member of his party. So, he dies. 1820. He gets buried. And back in those times, grave robbing was a big thing back then. So, they dug him up.
I'm cutting you off for 2 seconds. This was the most intriguing part about this story to me that you brought up to me weeks ago. This is the most interesting
part of the story.
This is, like, as famous as he was, as awesome this was the most intriguing part about this entire story to me, and I love to hear it.
He was buried, and grave robbing was big back then. So, guess what they do? They dig up old Dan Donnelly's grave, and they haul him off and sell him to a doctor that works for a university, and he has it for maybe a day or so. Well, a lot of people go to visit Dan Donnelly's grave. Hey, our champion, our national hero that knocked out the oppressing Englishman is dead and his body's gone. So they lose it. There's riots. It's pandemonium. So the doctor says you should probably bring the body back. But before you do that, let me take his right arm. The one he knocked out Henry Cooper with, broke his jaw. Remember that one? Yeah. Can I have that one? It's like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, you pay us? All right, cool. They bring the body back. Arm's gone. They just, I guess, overlook and go, well, at least Dan's home, minus his famous right arm. And
that's what I was so intrigued by, was the fact that
because the doctor wanted to study it.
Well, the fact that they were allowed to do that. 2, he wanted to study it. He wanted to study it to think that anything besides, because we all know as boxers now, pivoting, as friends would say, Ross and friends, pivot, as Ross and friends would say, pivot, is the reason for strength, not the arm itself. So we know that, as far as we know,
right?
Because maybe somebody 200 years later from now is going to tell us we're wrong as well. But
we use jetpacks, man.
But it is as far as him taking his arm, it's very, very intriguing that in 1830 or whenever
would have been 1820.
Exactly,
they
that
took
year?
His arm from.
Okay,
yeah.
So 1820 when they
he wasn't even on the ground for like 3 days before
when they would have robbed his grave, brought the arm to
2
the
days
doctor.
later.
I think that's the most intriguing part to me is that they at that time thought that an arm had that much significant difference against someone else's arm, when in reality it is the entire body.
Exactly. Well, that just shows the evolution of the sport, right? Like, this is just like probably senseless brawling. I could go out and get in a bar and it would like look like his fights potentially, right? They don't see me cutting off my fucking arm, but what you could still shake this guy's arm to this day if you want it. Shake his hand. His arm has traveled throughout the world. It has been it's put in a certain dye where it doesn't disintegrate. It was been through a couple of circuses, museums, and I think it actually sits in one of the bars he used to own, and it's still around to this day.
Nice.
So that'd be interesting. I would like to shake his hand, but
it's off of his body, so that's the only chance you're gonna get.
And his fingers point like this too. Kind of weird.
So you just gotta shake his finger like. Yeah.
Can you imagine breaking his fucking finger off?
Is that all you got for the book?
Yeah, that's all I got for the book.
Okay, so the last thing we got, because we got to get going, it is 7:57. Your thing starts in 3 minutes. Last week, I'm gonna stop you. Last week, we had a sloppy drunk call out to Charlie Z.
I apologize.
He wanted to fix that because Charlie Z did not respond to him, and we're waiting. So Seth, take it away.
All right, Charlie Z. You didn't respond. I could probably see why. Just drunk and yeah, this is what people always do. But for the people at home that listened to the last installment that were wondering, what the hell is this guy even talking about? Like, he's just calling this guy a piece of dog trash, piece of dog turd, whatever I said. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what I meant to say last week was why he's a clown is because if you look it up on BoxRec, he's 0-1. He lost to Andrew Harley. I got the guy on Facebook. Lost to Andrew Harley 0-1 in Arkansas. And they don't even have a freaking boxing governmental thing going on. Jurisdiction, I think that's what they call it. But then this clown, he goes around going, oh, I'm 300-0. Yeah, I beat Deontay Wilder. Yeah, I beat this guy.
Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Yeah, he beat. Yeah. You see, Floyd Mayweather beat him up. Charlie Z leaves the ring. Floyd Mayweather Sr. turns around. Charlie Z runs in and hits him from behind like a little bitch that he is. And then some guy fucking pummels him. It was fucking great. But that's why this guy's a clown. And why, like, he still hasn't gotten back to, even on Instagram. You tagged him in that?
Charlie has been zip quiet the entire time. Possibly, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he hasn't actually seen it.
Could be in jail. He could be in jail.
In all fairness, I know Charlie.
Let's set it up. I'm willing to go.
I know Charlie gets called it by a lot of people, but the one that I do want to see is Charlie versus Seth because
that's the fight you guys want to see.
It's just like you said, it's been 6 years coming.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, I don't really like Charlie either. I think I hear his videos and I think it's disrespectful and I want to see my friend kick his ass. So if Charlie sees this, we're gonna clip it again. We're gonna cut it up. We're gonna send it to you once again. And if you don't see it,
we'll
take the benefit of the doubt.
Champ.
No, we'll take the benefit of the doubt, and we'll say that potentially, Charlie, that you are too famous now to see it. But if you do see it, step up to the plate.
Famous by Big Bubba in the Las Vegas can, bitch. That's what you're famous by.
All right. Anyways, so that's all the topics we got for today. We are slightly shorter than last week, but thank you all again for tuning in to Trash Talk with Devin. We will see you again for UFC 253. Love you.
Love y'all.
God bless week,
Take
Trash
care.
Talkers.
Stay safe, Trash Talkers. Take care.
All right.